Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, tuṣṭe. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, tuṣṭe. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday's study of the Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. And we're cruising through the 5th canto, taking, I wouldn't call them detours. We're sort of like skipping through. Skipping like frolicking through.
Yeah,
frolicking
we're summarizing some stuff. But
summarizing, that's a word that you can use for skipping through the 5th canto, because it gets a little thick. It gets a little thick and a little muddy unless you have a very scientific brain. We're going to skip right into some of the hellish planets one of these days in the next few days, which I think we should stop off and hang out at the hellish planets. What do you think?
But it may
It's
be
really,
a while before.
where do you get descriptions of hell?
Dante.
Dante's Inferno,
I don't know.
yes.
Evangelicals.
Yeah, I guess you're
what
right.
The
We could
Westboro Baptist Church.
All they say is you're going to burn. We tell you exactly how you're going to burn.
It's more than burning. There's all kind of stuff going on.
Krishna. Yeah. It's a whole hellish amusement park.
Yeah.
Anyway. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about, you want to hear a good word nerd thing? Brahman.
Yes.
Brahmajyoti.
Yeah.
It comes from the Sanskrit root bri, which comes from like we get our word brilliant from. What do you think of that? Like light. Meditate on that there, word nerd.
Are you sure about that?
Pretty sure.
Where did you get it from?
Got it from Sanskrit scholar.
Because I know, like, we say Brahmanda or we say Brahmayan, and it has to do with, I think it has this kind of like everywhere kind of.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Well, brilliant.
We need someone to get into that.
Okay, and tomorrow starts. Everyone's going to start piling over to Super Soul Farm for our Wisdom of the Sages retreat, where me, Mara, and tuṣṭe are going to come together. We're going to hold wrists in a circle, and we're going to cry and laugh together. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to sing. We're going to sing from the bottom of our hearts. People are coming from all around the world to come sing with us, break chapatis with us, and even Satchidananda Maharaj is going to be here, and we're excited to see him.
Yeah. He's
sort of like part of our team, I feel.
He's at the Bhakti Center tonight, by the way. Anyone in the area, check him out tonight.
That's right. Yep. So that's what's happening. And Miss Mara has a couple announcements before we dive into Srimad Bhagavatam and our nugget. Mara, try not to hit anything. I keep on cutting out.
Okay. Oh, really? We have Bhakti recovery group meetings today. The men meet at noon and the women meet at 2:00.
That was easy.
That's all. I'll say this. I'll give a little announcement. That
announcements, yeah.
Well, just that as we're doing this, we've got to reciprocate a bit more with our Patreon supporters, and so we'll be recording stuff during the retreat and sharing that on Patreon. So that's coming soon, sometime this week, right?
Is it this week?
Well, it starts tomorrow. Yeah, this week. I mean, we'll get it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Post some good stuff, hopefully.
And a last announcement here: July 13th, July 28th. Everyone want to become a yoga teacher? We can help you. We're doing our teacher training up here at Super Soul Farm. Come up here. It's like an immersion. You get to live with us and do your teacher training, eat with us, move with us, breathe with us, laugh with us, sing with us. 200-hour yoga teacher training at Super Soul Farm with me, Bobby Marchand. She's on the show now. And Cindy Lunsford. She's on Zoom right now, too. Go to my link tree in my Instagram bio or raghunath.yoga for more info and sign up because it's limited space. What a great way to spend your summer.
All
Okay,
right.
let's dive into this, sir.
Yeah.
Here's our very good nugget from one of your favorites and mine, and one considered a very wise.
I don't know much about her.
I don't know.
I never seen one of her films. But
Audrey Hepburn.
Audrey Hepburn.
Mara, give us a little background on Audrey Hepburn, please. She said this, but this is a great quote. It's as if she studied the 10th canto. For beautiful eyes, look for the good in others. Right? For beautiful lips, speak only words of kindness. And for poise, walk with knowledge that you are never alone. This is like right out of the Bhagavad-gita.
It is.
I wonder if she got like a Bhagavad-gita on the streets. Oh, she was a beauty. She was lovely. She was an actress.
Yeah, that much I know.
An actress and a humanitarian.
Yeah, well, I think that's the part that I don't know so much about.
I could be a humanitarian. I'm going to read you my bio, and when you see it, you're going to be like, Raghunath, this is a part-time botanist, a mystic, a humanitarian. What's a humanitarian? Look up what's a humanitarian. I think I could add that to my
little focus. Why don't we come back?
Now I want to focus on my new bio I'm going to work on. She's a film and fashion icon. Look up humanitarian. See if I can add it to my bio.
I think her big movie was called Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But let's get into her nugget. That's the point.
Can I be a philanthropist also? Or do I have to give? Oh, okay. Here. It came up as a synonym, a philanthropist. A person promoting human welfare. That's what I do. And social reform. That's what I do. That's what this whole podcast is. I'm a humanitarian.
Good for you, Raghunath.
Thank you.
You would become a better one if you'd focus on this nugget right now.
Okay, well,
put your mind to it, Raghunath. You're so distracted, it's absurd. It's like you can't focus. It's a simple thing.
Stayed up late last night. There was no way I could have got up. I get this phone call. Oh, Dad, it's ridiculous. Okay, for beautiful eyes, look for the good in others. All right, why don't you start it off and then I'll get going.
Okay, if you promise to look at me while we're doing it.
I'm looking at my quote.
Okay, now here's what struck me the most. I mean, it's a fact that you do have verses in Bhagavatam. If we go back to the second canto, right, which talk about actually the Bhagavatam does it in the negative way, right? Like the Bhagavatam says, like, if your eyes aren't engaged in this way, then your eyes are like the eyes of the tails of the peacock, right? Like,
right.
They don't actually see. If your lungs, aren't breathing in this way, then
no better than the bellows of a blacksmith or something that, right?
Yeah. Now Audrey Hepburn's got a kind of like a positive spin on it for beautiful.
Part of her being a humanitarian.
I think it's also part of her being an actress, and I think she was known for her. She's very feminine, and so it's like it's almost like this is it's almost like she's upgrading like a like some kind of book on how to be a young lady or something like that, right? Like how to be a proper young lady or something like that.
Okay.
You would read back in the 40s or 50s or something, right? So if you want your eyes to be beautiful, then look for the good in others. So she's she's saying it's not a cosmetic thing, right? It's there's something deeper there, and that idea is very harmonious with yoga and with bhakti. If you want to have beautiful lips, she's not giving makeup advice here. She's saying speak only words of kindness. Okay, this is the sadhu behavior, right? This is the behavior of real yogis, of people that want to align their mind, align their heart with God, and ultimately with, in harmony with every living being. This is the way you think. This is the way you see. This is the way you talk. Arjuna says this to ask this of Krishna, right back in the second chapter of the Bhagavad-gita. Tell me about the tuṣṭe deer Muni, right? Tell me about the sage of steady mind. How do they walk? How do they sit? How do they talk? What are their symptoms? So it's kind of like, Audrey Hepburn is kind of speaking in that, on that level. And then for me, the one that really grabs me the most, Raga, and for poise, right?
Boys.
Because even all that's kind of like how you walk, and like you'd find that in those.
How do you carry yourself?
How do you? Yeah, for poise, she says, walk with the knowledge that you are never alone. And that this is incredible. This is like when I read that, my mind went right to a Bhagavad-gita verse, and it's one
I'm
of my
situated in everyone's heart.
Well, similar to, but
10, 12 or
no, it's not a verse that's quoted all that much.
what verse?
It's verse 1329.
Okay, I don't know.
Okay, so the 13th chapter has so much to do with the Paramatma, this conception that God is present within the heart of every living being, aware, witnessing, monitoring, giving, spreading its awareness everywhere, and it even describes there, hey, there's 4 different ways that people will discover, will search for this Paramatma within themselves. And it describes Ashtanga yoga, it describes Jnana yoga, it describes Karma yoga, ultimately describes, then it says, in speaking about Bhakti yoga, it says what's the term it uses? Shruti Parayana, that those are dedicated to hearing, they also find the super soul in the heart, right? And then it describes like the results of realizing this, not just speaking about this theoretically, but really really feeling that God is in my heart and God is in everybody's heart. And in this verse, Raghunath, this is the poise that Audrey Hepburn is talking about. Text 1329. One who sees the Paramatma equally present everywhere, in every living being, does not degrade themselves by their mind. Right? They have poise, right? They're not degraded, but they what does poise? How about that one, Mara? Why don't you look up poise for us, please? One does not degrade oneself by their mind, thus they approach the transcendental destination. Right? So in other words, this is the key to having an elevated consciousness. You got it, Mara?
Yeah. To hold or carry in equilibrium.
Interesting.
Also as a noun. Oh, okay. Easy, self-possessed assurance of manner. Gracious tact in coping or handling.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
also
it has a lot to do with grace, like moving through the world gracefully. What was that? Read that again. That there was
easy, self-possessed assurance of manner and gracious tact in coping or handling.
Didn't you say something about equilibrium?
Yeah. A stably balanced, like an equilibrium. The first definition. A stably balanced state or equilibrium. And then
which is practically like a definition of yoga, right? Like Krishna Samatvam Yoga Uchite. Yoga means this evenness. My mind is very even. If I can see that Paramatma everywhere, the things that which would otherwise rock me, don't rock me. And it prevents me from becoming degraded. It prevents me from degraded, meaning, like when you look at comedy, Raghunath, right? Like you look at like say, let's take Seinfeld, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the common themes in that is like you take a character like George. George is like the most exemplifies this the most, where he's degrading himself all the time, right? It's like, you know what I mean? He has no poise. He's striving.
He's like
for
a bumbling idiot. He can't catch up to his ego. He can never prove himself to society or himself.
Yeah, he's trying to find that equilibrium, have that self, esteem, and working really hard. And the harder he works for it, the more elusive it is, right? And that's humorous. And really, we have to look at our own lives that way. Most humor has to do with like, I was trying to arrange things one way and they went another way.
Mm.
And so when we're seeing that Paramatma everywhere, we kind of let go of all of these fears or desires that illusory fears and desires that drive us to make fools of ourselves, and we actually have poise. We do not degrade ourselves. Now, in the commentary to this verse, Raghunath, it's a one short paragraph, but this paragraph, I mean, in one sense, it's like it's got. If you read this every day slowly and think about it, it will change your life.
I love when people
Wanna-
make those
you wanna hear it?
proclamations. Okay, go.
Okay. This is Prabhupada's commentary on that verse from Gita. He says, the living entity, that's all of us, by accepting their material existence, we've chosen these bodies and these circumstances. Even though we don't know it, we put ourselves in this position, right? By accepting their material existence, has become situated differently than in their spiritual existence. I put myself into a virtual reality. But if one understands that the Supreme is situated in his Paramatma manifestation everywhere, that is, if one can see the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living thing, they do not degrade themselves by a destructive mentality, and they therefore gradually advance to the spiritual world. The mind is generally addicted to sense gratifying processes. That's where our mind is generally stuck, right? That's like George, just I need this, I need that, I won't be happy until the mind is generally addicted to sense gratificatory processes. But when the mind turns to the supersoul, that's the key to everything. That's how you become a sadhu. That's how you become a sage of steady mind. Right? When the mind turns to the supersoul, one becomes advanced in spiritual understanding. It's like we have to keep looking we hear about it, and then we have to keep looking for it, keep looking for it, keep looking for it, and gradually it starts to manifest. But gradually you begin to see it. By see it means you begin to feel the presence of God everywhere and in everyone. And the more and as you're practicing that and reflecting on that, you're reading more and hearing more, and the pieces of the puzzle start to snap into place, and you see reality.
And that would be more like Jerry.
Well, I don't know if Jerry's there. I think all four of them are like, it's just I think George is the most, the most.
Because it would just come up early, and we'll have a Wisdom of the Sages Seinfeld rerun party.
You want to do that?
We'll just have the whole retreat sit there.
I think,
Maharaj,
even there's an
watch
Audrey Hepburn
Seinfeld. I think he'd
connection to
appreciate it.
Seinfeld, right? Isn't it? He had to go watch Breakfast at Tiffany's for some reason, didn't he? And he went into he found the people. Remember that one?
I can't remember.
He just found someone else that had rented it. And
You know what
down.
was interesting is just a little side note for everybody that me and Kostuba were in the ashram when Seinfeld came out, so we didn't see it until later.
Much later.
Even The Simpsons, we didn't see The Simpsons until later after it came out because we were in the ashram. But I remember all my friends who were not devotees, or like they're sort of like devotees on the outside, like, oh, you got to watch The Simpsons. I was like, I can't. I'm a brahmachari. I can't watch The Simpsons. It's like it's the best show ever.
Don't have a TV.
Yeah. That was my first slippery slope back into the material world. It's interesting though. Once you get a TV, you're sort of like you're in there. You're getting information put in you coming from such a pristine place like the ashram, where you're very, very, very select about what you consume. Anyway, I didn't mean to shift the topic there.
No, I think if we can all take even this one sentence, right? This last sentence. The mind is generally addicted to sense gratifying processes. But when the mind turns to the supersoul, one becomes advanced in spiritual understanding. Keep trying to see it. Speak to the Paramatma in your heart, into the heart of another. Right?
It's genuine inclusivity. We throw this word about inclusivity. Real inclusivity. We got it here. You don't have to go anywhere else to find an inclusive world.
Artificially.
Yeah, because ultimately in any other external concept of inclusivity, if people disagree with you, they're excluded. Inclusivity, if you agree with everything I say.
Right.
But real inclusivity means I'm going to love even the guy that hates me. I'm going to love the person that completely believes everything different than me. I'm not going to want to segregate them or cut them off or shame them or whatever. Real inclusivity is you look to the subtle, and that's where I find my connection. You know, I used to say this about unity, but now people don't use that word so much anymore. Unity in the hardcore and punk scene, we talked about punks and skins unite. And, you know, we got to unite the scene, but it made no sense really, because we were uniting our little community against the rest. It was still against the rest of the world, against those straight people who wear suits all the time. Like we were trying to unite ourselves because we're fighting amongst our crazy community against the rest of the world. So even that unity wasn't a unity with humankind or animal kind or anything, but the real inclusivity we have right here in Krishna consciousness. I want to see spirit everywhere I look, not even outside the human species, and not even outside the human species, but within this human species of people that don't agree with my narrative, my philosophy, etc. I'm still going to hold them dear. Why? Because they have this Paramatma in the heart, and they're spiritual beings, and they deserve that. And that's ultimately, if you really care about people evolving, which we should care about, and we should care about our evolution, other people evolving, we should hold them in such a way that we allow them to evolve. If you shame someone or hate somebody, they're not going to evolve. They'll dig their heels in deeper, and you'll create a very divisive culture. What do you think about that? Raghunath's inclusivity.
I think Audrey she hit the nail on the head when she said, walk with the knowledge that you are never alone. Right.
You know, especially because she was in a world of was very, it was Hollywood, super superficial. And she got this when you come out and say these very deep things.
Yeah, you get some of these famous actresses. I think exactly what you're saying. Like you're living in such an artificial world, a superficial world in certain ways, and you're being glorified for such superficial reasons.
Right.
That it makes you look deep. Like I think Bridget Bardot was like that too. She also kind of like getting, began to try to see with this kind of vision. She got a lot into animal rights, I think, and things like that.
Bridget Bardot.
Yeah.
Huh, did not know.
Yeah.
All right, Kastuba, you got to educate me on old film stars one of these days.
I don't know anything. I couldn't name one Bridget Bardot movie if you asked me. I couldn't. I mean, they may all be in French or something. I don't know, but anyway.
Mara's knitting in the dark shadows, you see, if you're watching on Zoom or YouTube. Okay, let's get into the Srimad Bhagavatam. What do you say about that?
Let's do it.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmidatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Everything you said, it actually really rang true with me. Now, I get the deepest realizations I get is when during those prayers, all these, I'm get flooded with ideas and thoughts. And so after I stopped saying those prayers, I was like, I was while on a japa walk, I was squirreling away from my japa and thinking about revenge to someone who,
okay.
yeah,
Great
revenge
job.
to someone who harmed me, who harmed me. And my mind goes right to devious schemes of revenge,
Wow.
like ways to get them back and secret ways of blackmail. It's just like, it's amazing what you do when someone's really hurt you to the core, how you could get revenge on them. And so that was probably about a round and a half worth of revenge thoughts. If you calculate, I use the time measurement of rounds. So that was like, whatever, 15 minutes of
That was
15
28 minutes.
it was around two rounds of revenge. And then I started thinking, okay, even if I follow through this revenge, what about our whole philosophy of you got to respect everybody, even your enemies? Hey, Christ even prayed for his enemies. Haridas Thakur prayed for his enemies. There's so many examples of people praying and loving and seeing above what the person is doing to me. And Christ was getting nailed to the cross. Haridas Thakur was getting beaten. What do I have? Some people that don't like me here and there, and they hurt my ego. They try to deflate my big fat ego, which is probably the goal of yoga anyway. And let's face it, if you're in the mood of revenge, you never feel good. It's just like it possesses you and it feeds on itself, it grows. So when you read that, nothing sort of, when we were reading the Audrey Hepburn quote, it was like, yeah. And then Narayanam Namaskritya. And I was like, oh, yes. All my revenge realizations started arising. All right. So I don't know if it was maybe it's because I chant such good japa that all those thoughts came up and it just purged it from my system. What do you think?
No, I'm not buying into that.
No? I think the japa purged it. Okay. I birthed my anger and resentment and revenge. So, but this is the fine tuning, the psychic surgery that happens within Bhakti Yoga. We go through the files of our mind and we're like, don't need this anymore. Don't need spite anymore.
Yeah.
Don't need I'll get you anymore. And we store like file cabinets of people I want to get back at in our consciousness, and it ruins our heart.
Okay, Raghunath. Are you ready now? Thank you for sharing.
I'm ready.
That,
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Where are we at?
So we are summarizing much of the 15th chapter of the 5th canto. And it was a long list of kings coming down in the dynasty of Maharaj Priyavrata. It was, but it began to focus on one king in particular, and his name was Maharaja
Gaya.
Gaya,
right?
Gaya. And it mentioned a bunch of things about him. And as we read yesterday, he was given this view of his leadership. He provided, it was very parental in a sense. It was like, it was like almost like done in the mood of parental love and care, right? He provided protection and security for the citizens. He saw that they had sufficient food. He distributed gifts to them to satisfy them. He would call meetings just to share sweet words with them and really win their hearts, and he would give them instructions about how to become first-class citizens. Then we heard how there was almost like a panel of wise women in the kingdom. He satisfied them, right? They said yes, okay, his leadership is on the mark. We approve. We give it our stamp of approval. And even the planet Earth, he pleased the planet Earth. The Earth was so pleased with the direction that he was taking everyone in, that the Earth was abundant, providing profusely. It is said that even the like kind of the surrounding kings, they submitted themselves to him. They were so satisfied. He's dharmic, he's noble, he's strong, he's good. And then the brahmanas, the wise, the simple living wise people, they were satisfied by him. They were impressed by him. They were also giving their stamp of approval. So it shows the kind of rule that he was doing and how it was accepted across the board, and it's indicating who a leader has to satisfy, right? And then it mentioned that Indra himself would come down from the heavens, right? Drink some soma rasa and enjoy his rituals. And then finally it says this, Raghunath. It said that Lord Vishnu himself, the Yagna Purusha, the enjoyer of all
Comes
sacrifice.
right out of the fire.
I don't know if he came through the fire or not, but he showed up. And so Lord Vishnu, you know, it's one thing to do a ritual for the pleasure of Vishnu. It's another thing when he comes and shows up, right? He's right there. And we can, let's see if we can read that verse again. It said, this is text 12 of the fifth 15th chapter. It said, Lord Vishnu, the Yagna Purusha, the enjoyer of sacrifice, also came and personally accepted all of the sacrifices offered to him with pure and firm devotion in the sacrificial arena. So he showed up there. Now this is the one verse I really wanted to focus on in this entire chapter. Again, which is a long list of dynasties, you know.
Mhm.
But this Raghunath, Audrey Hepburn gave us something to apply to our life today, you know, even like in that brought us to Bhagavad-gita, which brought us to that formula, you know, just look for the super soul in every living being and you won't become degraded. You elevate yourself, right? Here we find another formula. This is a key to understanding the whole universe.
Give me the secret key, my friend.
This is a key, all right. Okay, so this is text. You want to read it? Text 13. Chapter 15, text 13.
When the Supreme Lord is pleased by a person's actions, automatically all the demigods, human beings, animals, birds, bees, creepers, trees, grass, and all other living entities, beginning with Lord Brahma, are pleased. Okay, I'm just going to rephrase that, or not rephrase it, but restate it. When the Supreme Lord is pleased by a person's actions, all those other beings are pleased, headed by Lord Brahma. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the super soul of everyone, and he is by nature fully pleased. Nonetheless, he came to the arena of Maharaj Gaya and said, I am fully pleased.
So
that's the water. That's the water, the roots of the tree, and all the leaves
become
like satisfied.
Why don't you start the commentary? Prabhupada goes right there.
Oh, you're kidding. Thinking like Prabhupada today.
So this analogy right here is a game changer. It's something you can carry with you your whole life and understand how I should think and how I should act based on this.
Okay, it is explicitly stated herein that simply by satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one satisfies the demigods and all other living entities without differentiation. If one pours water on the root of a tree, all the branches, twigs, flowers, and leaves are nourished. Although the Supreme Lord is self-satisfied, he was so pleased with the behavior of Maharaj Gaya that he personally came to the sacrificial arena and said, I am fully satisfied. Who can compare to Maharaj Gaya?
Okay.
Well, Prabhupada didn't. Yeah. Okay.
He didn't want.
Yeah. So this is the analogy we use in Bhakti. And this is one of the ones that really caught me when I was a brand new devotee. I was like, we had causes we cared about. We cared about environment. We cared about, you know, in the music scene, you always deal with these like Nazi racist guys. We cared about animals. We cared about, you know, uplifting society. And we thought, well, how can we unite? What is the common thread? What is the best way to move in this world that will be for the benefit of all mankind? Do I just go, let's just save the whales, but then the whales are saved, but what if we're destroying something else? All right, let's save the seals, and the seals are saved. Let's just save the animals, but what about the humans? Like, what is the one thing we can move forward that is interconnected? And that I find the worship of when you worship Lord Vishnu, it's not really about isolating yourself and worshiping God up on a mountain. It's starting to see God in everything, in everybody, and not just in your community, outside your community. That's what I was saying earlier. It's true inclusivity, where you're actually extending and you're tolerant of people that are different than you. You're loving and you're encouraging, and it all comes from me. What we were saying previously is controlling my thoughts and how I see people, how I react to things that happen, how I don't become a victim again. Oh, this is happening to me, and this is happening to me, and why would they be doing this to me? all of a sudden I see this, everything is gifts. And I dig deep into people. And as Audrey said, you just start to see the good in people. I let go of my desire to find fault with them. I dig deep, which is sometimes hard, and find some goodness in that person. And I fan that flame. I pour the water on the roots of the tree by seeing God in everybody. And then you're going to start to see all the leaves become nourished. And I can say,
Yeah.
within my short lifetime,
Hmm.
the world has radically changed. Since Bhakti has been introduced in the United States, we've witnessed, I'm not going to say we're fully responsible for it, but we are. The Bhakti movement has watered the leaves of the tree. You know, Prabhupada alone and the big move for Bhakti, it spread vegetarianism, which changes the environment, which changes, the factory farms, which shuts down the factory farms, people's attitudes have changed radically since you and I were in elementary school.
Yeah. Factory
Right?
farms haven't been shut down yet, but
They haven't been shut down,
correct.
but there's a struggle in those industries now.
Yeah.
They are looking for subsidies. It's a huge thing. I mean, you can go into any supermarket and find many different types of vegan milks.
Yeah,
I wasn't like
that's
that
our
when you and I-
success, but it is indicative.
Yeah, culture. The conversation is shifting, and I think it's this watering the roots of going to the source. And the interesting thing, the work is on me. I'm doing the work, and then that's seeping out of us as individuals, and it's spreading a ripple effect in culture. What do you think?
It's such an important analogy. The idea where you brought it to one level, which is kind of like on the social, I don't know, social justice or social concern, right? That there may be 30 important social issues out there that I'm concerned about.
Mm.
Am I supposed to dedicate my life to one of them? Or if I focus on one, am I ignoring the other? And have I accomplished nothing in the end? One could think this way. No, if you simply focus on pleasing the Supreme, you're addressing all of these issues. It's kind of like if we can all bring our consciousness to this level, we're really getting at the root of greed. We're really getting at the root of fear, which is what's causing all of these conflicts and these problems anyway. Getting at the root of material attachment. These are the things that create these maladies socially. So just by going to this one root, you have the potential to solve all the issues, right? That's one thing. From like a more Vedic perspective, this same analogy is applied when one thinks, because Prabhupada mentioned at the beginning of his commentary, said, it is explicitly stated herein that simply by satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one satisfies, the first thing he says is one satisfies the demigods, right? So from the Vedic perspective, you're thinking, I'm in debt, right? One deva is providing the rain that waters my crops and gives us water. That one demigod is providing the sun, which gives us warmth and life and so on. One demigod is, the earth. She must be satisfied too. I have a responsibility and I need to be performing. And if I neglect one, what happens? But here this says, no, if you go to the root of all the devas, the deva, the god of the gods, is Sri Krishna. You water that root, the devas are very satisfied. We're hearing in this chapter how this king Gaia satisfied his entire kingdom. And we're right down the list of everyone that's satisfied. But he did it by focusing on being a good devotee, right? On being a good bhakti yogi. With that one intention, he satisfied everyone. There's a saying, Raghunath, tasmin
Devarshi
tuṣṭe.
bhutapta nunam pitrinam nakinkaro
that's a
nayam
verse.
ranicha rajan. Is that where you're going?
No, I was going tasmin tuṣṭe, jagat tuṣṭam. Tasmin, when he is satisfied, everyone's satisfied.
You know the verse I was quoting, right?
The pouring water on the root.
Well, yeah. All the demigods are, yes. Every living, basically what we just said in that verse and in that commentary. I love this concept that we are debtors, because by human nature, or we could say sort of degraded human nature, we think we are owed. And when we walk around with "you owe me," it's a bad attitude we project into the world. You owe me. I've done so much for you. I'm keeping a list of everything I've done for you and everyone else, and I'm waiting for payback. And it's just a bad way to look at the world. And there's nothing uglier than ingratitude. And when it's such a better lens that I'm in debt. I have whatever I have by the mercy of other people. I have what I have because people have loved me. People have nourished me. People have cared for me. It's such a better way to view the world. My son came up to me yesterday and said, he was in a car ride. I won't get into details, but he was like, man, his friend was like, man, he's so mean to his mother. And I was like, I know. And his mother would do anything for him. The kid is so mean to his mother. How horrible is that? And so I was like, it's like this feeling of unsatisfied. I'm unsatisfied with what you're giving me. It's such a bad attitude. It's almost like, and some of us really have it in us. Like it's been programmed in us somewhere, either in childhood or in lifetimes ago, or maybe it's coming out in puberty or something like that. And we have to actively fight against it, this entitlement, and get into this idea like I'm in debt to so many things. And it's really just cultivating it. Me and Mary are working hard on that. Before we go to bed every night, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for this. And then when you start becoming grateful, you realize I'm in debt. I'm in debt to so many people, and I want to give back. And that mood of how can I give back? That's how you become happy in life.
Yeah. And then you aim at that root, and that's the practical way that you do it, right?
Yeah.
So
your success is in direct measurement to your contribution.
Right. Now, we've talked about it two ways now. In other words, two ways: by watering the root, all the leaves are satisfied. Two ways: by pleasing God, everybody's satisfied. One was you spoke about it kind of like on a social level, right? And I just spoke about it more like on a cosmic level, a karmic level, karmic level, right? I have debts to pay. Here's another way that's often spoken about too, is that when you actually, to truly connect with the Supreme, right? To truly connect with God, to fully connect, to deeply connect, one's character has to become reformed, right? You have to turn from all your petty material attachments and let go of them. You have to, and the natural qualities of the soul, will arise in one. That's when you're connecting. And those natural qualities are by nature very satisfying. They're very admirable. They're very pleasant. They please everyone. So the idea is also there that if one can become that sadhu, can fully connect with that root, then they actually please everyone. They actually become dear to everyone. Like there's the Sad Goswami Megastakam, right? You know the verse I'm thinking of from that. Dira Jana Priya Karukara. That it's like it's a song that's glorifying these six great saints, right? The six Goswamis of Vrindavan. And it's glorifying them in so many ways. And they are so, I mean, what I was thinking of doing for the retreat that we're beginning tomorrow. We're gonna, for my segment of it, is reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita and reading about some of these characters, and just really opening it up for questions and stuff, like just.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Reading together.
So your point was in the song. It says they are dear to this. Oh, okay. All right. I thought you forgot. I thought you squirreled right off the subject.
No, Raghunath, I'm right on subject here. So there we hear about some of these Goswamis, Raghunath Das Goswami. When we hear the name Raghunath Das Goswami, when we hear the name Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, we feel good. Oh, just hearing about that person, hearing of their words, hearing about their character is satisfying.
When I hear about the six Goswamis, I feel feel good.
Well, you see, no, now you're taking it to someone else.
No, I feel good.
Okay, all right. So there's a song that glorifies all six of them. They how simply they lived, how they just wandered the forest, sleeping under a different tree every night. You know, their minds fully absorbed in Bhagavatam, their minds fully absorbed in Krishna's Leela. And then it mentions dear what is it? Dear Adira Jana Priyao.
Those, yeah.
Dear and Adira, it means like a peaceful person, right?
Very sober, clear thinking.
Sober, clear thinking. They move through the world peacefully. They're like kind of well-behaved person. And then the Adira.
Those were just the opposite of that. They're crazy. They're all over the place. They're disturbed.
Or even like they're like a bit criminal or something like that.
A little bit
right?
criminal.
You know,
maybe we're Dira and Adira. Maybe that's you and me.
We're a little Dira. We got a little both in us.
Which one's which? That's the question.
No, I'm not saying one of us is one or the other, but like we both got some Dira. And so it says Dira Adira Jana Priya. Priya means the other kind of the English dear, right? Dear to, like, and fond of, right? And Jana means the people. So all the people, whether they were sober-minded, saintly, good, well-behaved, refined people, or whether even the thugs.
Even the thugs, like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Cisco
Swamis are pretty cool.
I got to give my respect, you know.
Yo, respect. It's not a Goswami. Free hot Bhagavad-gita.
But, you know, this is something that we also do see, you know, like, I think you and I know people who they're so widely appreciated because they've given their life fully to God. That has brought out these. Sometimes people say, like, you meet even like thuggish kind of people that meet like a real saintly person, and they, in their association, they feel that was the first person that really understood me. That was the first, you know, there's a reason why I'm a thug, you know, and that person actually saw through the exterior, saw to the heart.
And that's what the world needs. It needs a class of a person that can see through those exteriors and just dive right into that heart, because those exteriors, and they know it, are all costumes.
Right.
They're all costumes.
Yes, that's right.
And that's what I love about Bhakti. It's Krishna is all attractive. You're not going to get one type of Bhakti yogi. We're all unique beings outside, but we don't concentrate on the outside. We concentrate on what's inside. And Krishna hooks that internal part of us, and whatever costume we're wearing, he's drawing us in by that. And we start to forget about that extra. I forget about my maleness or even my fatherness. I say to myself, these aren't my kids. I don't own these kids. I don't own this stuff.
Hit that transcendental vibe, right? That you hit that fundamental level of thought.
Yeah, we remind ourselves I'm not here. This isn't my home here. My home is with Krishna. We actually remove ourselves from our external situation on a regular basis, reminding ourselves that we have two beings going on here.
Raghunath, what I'm witnessing in you.
What?
It's
real.
Tell
me, master.
It's real. It's like in one sense, this can be just all talk. It can just be all theoretical. But I know you, and I see you've been practicing this for so long. And when you say that, I know that, like, in other words, you've got things to deal with in life, and some things are easy and some things are tough, and, you know, and there's the ups and downs and the struggles. But I see that you've become accustomed to dwelling. Your mind has become accustomed to dwelling in that fundamental transcendental thought, right?
You know what? It's a practice of hearing the Bhagavatam on a regular basis
and reflecting on it as you go through life. And
reflecting on it, and reflecting on it, and then putting it into your whatever situation. So it's like last night, I go to bed early, and then all of a sudden I got to pick up the kid and drop him off at his mom's. And I was like, I'm not going to get to bed till 11 tonight. And I was just like, and then what happens at 11? Then Tamagoon starts taking over. You know, you're a little hungry, aren't you? I was like, I think I am.
Yes.
And then my son, of course, leaves a big temptation, a big jar of peanut butter right on that kitchen island.
That wouldn't
I was
tempt
like,
me at
"Oh,
all. The peanut butter.
No, yeah. It actually started to speak to me in a peanut butter language. Come, I need you. Come consume me. I will make you happier and more grounded. And then
Peanut butter is a real blocker.
it's a real blocker, I find. Yeah. But it's very, very appealing in the evening. That's
chocolate,
what I find
especially.
also. Yeah. It's
little
the
chocolate.
jelly starts to speak to me and the whole thing.
Taste that tastes great together.
And I was like, what? Then you get to that point of like, what am I doing? It's late at night. That it all starts.
We're going to have to end this because we've got just a few minutes left, but it's what you're saying segues right into it.
Mm-hmm.
What is one story from Mahabharata that clearly illustrates the principle of tasmin tuṣṭe, jagat, tuṣṭam? That when Krishna is pleased, everyone is pleased. When Krishna is satisfied, everyone
Got
is
it.
satisfied. Huh?
I got it.
Yeah,
Draupadi's pot.
that's it.
Or
Share it
Kunti.
briefly.
Kunti's pot? Draupadi's pot?
No, Draupadi.
Draupadi's pot.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have time to tell the story.
No,
Can we
you
start with
do.
the
I
story
can do it
tomorrow?
briefly. You could.
Let's tell the story tomorrow. It's a good story.
Okay, we'll do it tomorrow.
Okay, tell it tomorrow. Mara, what do you got for takeaways for us?
That's a cliffhanger.
It's a cliffhanger. It was good. Oh, yeah.
If you know the Paramatma, you won't degrade your mind.
Okay. That's
Alright.
Bhagavad-gita.
That's the whole world.
I've got one, Mara.
Oh, good. What you got?
Kastuba's got a takeaway.
I just took what Audrey Hepburn said and I just slightly put one more word in there, so I felt like this could be a good T-shirt.
What you got?
Tell me.
But actually, you keep going. I got to work on it a bit. Okay, here it
Really?
is.
Oh, okay.
Here it is. Walk with the knowledge that you never walk alone.
Now you're thinking like Audrey Hepburn.
Do you like that one, though? That could be a T-shirt, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Walk with the knowledge that you never walk alone.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Okay. Real inclusivity means looking to the subtle.
Yeah, okay.
You like that?
It's a super soul.
Find the good in others and fan that flame.
Fan it.
Be like Maharaj Gaya. Focus on being a good devotee to satisfy all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understand we are the debtors.
We're in debt.
Help-
Great way to see the world. We're in debt.
Cultivate gratitude and fight against our entitlement.
Okay.
We want to be happy. That's a big one.
Our success is a direct result of our contribution.
I
No,
like
no, no.
that. I said it, but I like it. I can like what I say.
Forget our costumes.
Forget them. Unless it's Halloween, then go get your costume.
Improve it. Just focus on it.
Focus on your costume.
And Raghunath, part-time botanist, part-time mystic, part-time humanitarian.
Oh.
Part-time. No, full-time. I'm a full-time mystic and humanitarian. And a part-time botanist. What was my other one yesterday? I realized. No, we said another one. I'm really doing this.
Humanitarian.
New bio. We had another.
full-time.
We went on a walk yesterday. I was like, I'm a part-time this also. Oh, cartographer. I'm a part-time cartographer. I study maps like crazy. Just look at them, like break them down. Part-time cartographer.
I don't think looking at the map qualifies you. I think you have to make the maps.
You have to look up cartography. I thought it was just studying maps.
You're
No?
you're like George, or like what was his name? What was his alias? As an architect. I'm an architect.
The biology. Oh yes. Oh, Krishna. Thanks everybody for joining us. One who makes the maps. I could make a map. Part-time. Not a full-time, of course.
Art
not.
Vandalay. There we go.
Cartographer.
Thank you, Tim.
I think I'm a part-time cartographer.
Art Vandalay, right?
Art Vandalay. I'm a little Art Vandalay. Oh, everybody, thanks for joining us. Oh, good way to start your morning, hearing spiritual wisdom and laughing a little. Nice combo, isn't it?
Audrey Hepburn.
It's a nice combo.